This is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex C.
Okay, let's get right to it. There is a lot of stuff to go over today. Let's start here. Yay or nay questions. Got a bunch of yay or nay questions up on the Twitter page. The address to the podcast Twitter page, by the way, is at Yay or Nay Podcast. Question number one, are ML baseball games too long? Now, there's been a lot of discussion in regards to things that I've been hearing, radio guys running around saying that everybody's complaining that baseball games are too long. And there are certain things that I would agree with, like, for instance, when you've got a tie, the way that you decide the tiebreaker isn't exactly the smartest way to do it when you're just playing extra innings. They've obviously got to do some things to change up how they're going to get tiebreakers completed and so on and so forth, because otherwise you can end up watching almost two whole baseball games with games going 18, 17, 16 innings. It's just crazy. So obviously they got to make some changes. But again, the question, are Major League Baseball games too long? 85.7% of the people that voted nay. Baseball games are not too long. Now remember, according to all the national media guys, everybody and their daddy is complaining about the length of baseball games. And allegedly, again, I'm not an insider. I'm a sports fan doing a sports show for sports fans. So I'm not an insider with inside information. But allegedly, according to the national media guys, the ratings are depleting and consistently going down for baseball. I find that hard to believe. I could understand at certain times or in certain markets where you have a losing team, you would have down ratings, but overall, I can't imagine baseball losing ratings. But according to the national media guys, that's what the case is. 85.7% of the people, again, that voted, are Major League Baseball games too long, said nay. All right. Should Major League Baseball regulate the max of pitcher changes per game? Now, in the Dodgers series with the Braves, in 5 games, my understanding is the Los Angeles Dodgers used some crazy, enormous number of pitchers, like 49 or something, in 5 games. So, again, what were we speaking about a moment ago? Allegedly, fans are complaining that the games are taking too long. One of the reasons why the games would be taking forever are the fact that we are seeing so many pitcher changes. And I'm not really a fan of how managers manage games to begin with. That's probably a conversation for another podcast. The way that they think, they overanalyze, they talk a lot of nonsense, a lot of stuff that makes zero sense. But again, that's probably for another podcast. But at the end of the day, should Major League Baseball regulate the max number of pitcher changes per game? Again, look at this number. 87.5% of the people that voted said nay. They should not regulate the max number of pitcher changes for a game. I find that very interesting. You know, and originally, this makes something else come to mind, something that I heard earlier today. You know, I originally was not going to talk about it, but I think I am now, because these questions are kind of leading up to an answer that came out of a very well-respected athlete's mouth today. I think I'm going to have to talk about that. Originally, I wasn't going to do it, but I think these questions are leading me to do it. All right, so here's another question. Should Major League Baseball utilize a pitch clock to speed up the game? Again, why do we keep having this conversation? Why are these questions all following suit in regards to speeding up the game for Major League Baseball? According allegedly to all the national media guys, again, I can't emphasize this enough, national media guys are screaming that games are taking too long. Fans are the ones that are complaining games are taking too long. Even though the poll questions that I just read back to you with the responses say differently, these guys swear up and down that all the fans are complaining that baseball games are taking too long. So again, should Major League Baseball utilize a pitch clock to speed up the game? 62.5% of the people that voted said nay. It's amazing. Everything they're saying and everything that I'm getting back vote-wise is going against what the national media guys keep swearing that all the fans want. All right. that's going to do it for these questions that I have that came back. I got a few more in the works, and when I get those back, we'll definitely talk about those results. And speaking of results, I am going to jump back to the athlete comment that I spoke about a moment ago. But speaking of results, let me jump over here first. Last night's NBA games, let's talk about a few of them. Trailblazers and the Clippers. So the Clippers beat the Trailblazers 116-86. Now, that to me, in all honesty, is no surprise. Clippers are the better team. I would expect the Clippers to get a win. Obviously, basketball, a lot of games. What is it, an 82-game season? You don't expect basketball teams to go undefeated. You don't expect to always see the better team win. There's a lot of circumstances, load management, injuries, mental fatigue. There's a million things that happen during a very long NBA season. But again, if you're just talking about what you would expect, right, taking all those factors out of it, I would expect the Clippers to beat the Trailblazers, and they did. Timberwolves and the Pelicans, two teams that I am curious to see what they're about. In all honesty, in my opinion, I don't really have an opinion on them. I have yet to see them develop. I have yet to see what they're going to be. 107-98 Pelicans over the Timberwolves. Bulls squeaking by the Raptors, 111-108. Two more teams. I put them in the same category. I just put the Pelicans and the Timberwolves in. We've got to wait and see what develops. We got to wait and see, what's happening with the Bulls, what's happening with the Raptors. I had no favorite walking into this game. 111-108 Bulls over the Raptors. Magic and the Heat, again, the better team, obviously, in my opinion, is the Heat, 107-90. Magic, traditionally, not a good team anyways, so I'm not really surprised. 107-90 Heat over the Magic. Then you have the Hawks and the Pistons. The Hawks, interesting to me. They're still the hot team they've always been, or I should say that they've been since last year. So I expect a lot of wins from the Hawks. I expect them actually to have a better season this year than they had last year. You got everybody coming back. You've got a lot of people that are now off injuries, and so predominantly, for the most part, they're healthy. Trae Young going to be doing his thing. What else is there that you have to say other than Trae Young? 122-104, Hawks over the Pistons. Now, this one, to me, was a surprise again, but there are a lot of variables when you're talking about a very lengthy NBA season. Nuggets losing to the Cavaliers, 99-87. Of course, I would expect the Nuggets to win, but again, you can't win every game. Nobody goes undefeated in the NBA, but the Nuggets clearly are the better team. Cavaliers, though, have been showing me little sparks of life. Obviously, I'm not a believer, and I don't think I've seen anything that makes me a believer in them as of yet, other than I could say they're a lot like the Detroit Lions. They seem to be fighting in every game they're in, and they fought hard, and they won 99-87 over the Nuggets. And again, a big surprise to me because you would expect the Nuggets to beat the Cavaliers. Now, I'm going to talk about something. I said this yesterday, and I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do this exactly. So I said this yesterday. I'm going to stick with this. I will get back to the comments I was referring to earlier. Do not worry. I'm not going to forget about that. But there's a story that TMZ ran, and allegedly the four-letter network allegedly is supposed to be running the story. They're being slow on it. And nobody in the nation really nationally is talking about this. TMZ broke the story. Now, locally, I heard a local yokel talk about this story earlier this morning. And then I believe if you look locally on the web in regards to the news portals locally, you could find a story about this particular topic. Because yesterday I told you I'm going to take my time, and I was going to wait till today to talk about this story. And even if I did, I'm still going to be in front of the national media like I normally am. And like always, they will join the party because that's what the national media does. What I'm talking about is Phoenix Suns team owner Robert Sarver wholly shocked by allegations of racism, sexism in an upcoming story. Because again, the four-letter network allegedly is going to run this story, talk about this story. I don't know what they're waiting for. They got blown out of the water by TMZ, who did the story last week. And again, a local yokel this morning already broke it. I'm going to talk about it. A podcast with CJ McCollum, I believe it is, already talked about it last week. So it's gotten very, very, very minimal exposure. I am really surprised in the day and age that we're in that this story so far has gotten really minimal exposure. And I don't know why. I'm kind of curious because by my understanding and my estimation, there aren't a lot of Robert Sarver fans in the world unless it's all about the fact that he picked up Chris Paul and the Suns became competitive, made it to the NBA Finals, and now all of a sudden, for some reason, everybody decided to rally around this guy and protect him because he had a team make it to the NBA Finals last year. I don't know. I do not know the answer. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying that's the reason why, but I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility because something isn't adding up because everybody's so quiet on the story. I listen to all the sports guys in the mornings, haven't heard anybody talk about it. I watch all the newscasts in the mornings, all the local ones especially. Haven't seen a single one of them talk about it. So I'm just wondering why everybody's being so quiet about this. But I can find it on the web. I can find it on TMZ. There was a podcast that talked about it, which is in the story, and we'll get into that in a second. Because matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and read this story to you now a little bit, and then we'll have the conversation. I'll tell you what my thoughts are. Because when it comes to Robert Sarver, I may think a lot of things, but I don't think I'm really going to give you any kind of insight in regards to whether he did or didn't do any of these things that this story is alleging, but I'll get more clear on that in a second. Let's do the story first. Again, Phoenix Suns team owner Robert Sarver wholly shocked by allegations of racism, sexism in an upcoming story. And so here's how the story reads. The Phoenix Suns owner Robert Sarver on Friday strongly denied allegations of racism, sexism, and sexual harassment by him or his organization, which is planned for an upcoming four-letter network story. Jordan Schultz, who hosted Pull Up Pod, a podcast with Blazers guard CJ McCollum, first tweeted Friday a story accusing Sarver, and they said that the story was in fact about to be released. Now, the NBA is preparing for a massive story accusing Suns owner Robert Sarver of racism, sexism, and sexual harassment in a series of incidents, sources say. With enough evidence to support such claims, there's a real chance the league would forcibly remove Sarver, Schultz said in Twitter. Now, in reaction, Sarver, who also owns the Phoenix Mercury, released a statement saying he's wholly shocked by the accusations and he is strongly denying them. Now, keep in mind, this is what I'm finding on the web. TMZ broke the story. CJ McCollum on the podcast talked about this story. Nothing on the four-letter network. Not on any of the shows. None of the morning shows ran anything with it. None of the local morning shows ran anything with it. And I heard a local yokel on the local sports radio talk about this for a quick minute today, but that's about it. It's been very, very quiet in regards to this story. Again, I'm very surprised considering the day and age that we currently live in that this story has been kept so quiet. I am wondering why. I'm putting it out there. I'm not saying why because I don't know why. I'm not throwing any accusations as to why this is happening. What I am simply saying is I'm very surprised and I don't know why everybody is staying so quiet with the story. Remember, we as a nation just went through something with Gruden, right? John Gruden, former head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. We just went something with John Gruden. And now, all of a sudden, when this comes up, we're all of a sudden noisy crickets. And I'm trying to figure out why. Because, again, Gruden, a well-respected former four-letter network commentator and also a Super Bowl champion head coach in the NFL, right? Coaching for decades, has decades worth of NFL experience as a commentator and a coach, right? And he got blown out of the water by the accusations against him, made him get knocked out of his job as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now we're looking at Robert Sarver, right? One of the chief owners of the Phoenix Suns. Same type of allegations, yet noisy crickets. We're not talking about it. Again, I'm curious. Let's go on with a little bit more of the story, then we'll talk about this a little further. Sarver continued by saying in the statement he rejects any insinuation of personal or organizational racism or gender discrimination directed towards him. First and foremost, I reject any insinuation of personal or organizational racism or gender discrimination. I despise language that disrespects any individuals, regardless of race, gender, preference, or choice. Such language has no place in business or at home in what I consider Suns and Mercury families. I am proud of our record of diversity and inclusion on both teams, whether on the court or in the front office. Sarver concluded his statement with thoughts of how to respond to the accusations. Now, I'm not going to really go any further. I don't think there's really anything further that you're going to gain from me to continue on reading. I'm just going to tell you, look, this is a guy who in this city, all right, up until recently, and of course, when is recently? Up until the Suns last year went to the NBA Finals, this is one of the most lowly thought of owners in Phoenix. Okay. I'm born and raised here in the 602. I know all about it. I can tell you all about it. And this guy has had a lot of reasons that have been stated as to why the market doesn't like him. And there's a lot of reasons. Now, none of the reasons that I have ever heard have anything to do with any of these allegations. I do not know of any instances. However, I'm not here to defend Sarver, and I'm not trying to defend him in any way, shape, or form either. I'm just telling you I've never heard of anything. But again, I'm a sports fan doing a sports show for sports fans. I'm not an NBA insider, so I do not have information. I am not somebody who is in lockstep with any of the current players of the Phoenix Suns, so I do not have any inside information. But what I do have is a perspective from what I've seen, what I've known, and what I hear. Again, having the luxury of working radio in the Phoenix market ever since I was 18 years old, I hear it all. So I could tell you that the one thing that I know for a fact is that, Robert Sarver, while not necessarily one of the most respected guys, again, up until recently, when the NBA watches the Suns go into the NBA Finals, all of a sudden this market starts to like him. Maybe he turned a corner. Maybe he's learned his lesson. Maybe he's learned how to be a better owner. But of course, they're talking about, stop being cheap and so on and so forth, which that's a whole nother story. I've already done that on a few podcasts. I'm not going to walk down that rabbit hole. But what I will do is tell you that, again, this guy's not necessarily the most liked guy in this market. He grew on some people because of the success that the Suns had last year. I don't know what to make of these accusations. I just am saying I am dumbfounded, and I am having a hard time understanding why the media is not talking about this. They talk about the Suns all the time. Oh, the Suns, did this against the Lakers. They did this against the Nuggets. Oh, Devin Booker this and Devin Booker that. But they don't say anything about these allegations at all. And I'm wondering, why are they staying so quiet on it? Again, because even here in the local market, which has nothing to do with the Las Vegas Raiders, they were all over John Gruden and the allegations that were against him, and yet noisy crickets when it comes to Suns team owner Robert Sarver, and I find that a little curious. I'm not going to lie. I find that a little curious. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. All right, really quickly, let's talk about last night's game. Two bad teams, New Orleans Saints, and you know what? It was such a memorable game. There were times today when I was thinking about what I was going to say about this game, I didn't even remember who the other team was that they played. I mean, that's how bad of a game that was last night. Seattle Seahawks, of course, is who they played. But again, without Russell Wilson, with, a lot of problems in that front office. It all starts with a head coach who apparently got a lot more power after the other gentleman exited the building. I don't know what the whole story on that is. Again, I'm not an insider with the Seahawks, but I hear it all the time that he gained a lot of power. Somebody left. Something happened. All of a sudden, next, Pete Carroll got all the power, all the control. He's making all the, player personnel decisions, and obviously bad ones at that, because he hasn't really picked up on anybody that's worked out. And Russell Wilson's not happy, and a lot of people talking about him potentially leaving the Seahawks at the end of the year. I don't think that's really going to happen. But, again, I never trust the national media, because they're always trying to make it look like there's problems when there are none, just to try and create some controversy. Again, sports media is a lot like national news media. They try to make problems where there are none, just so they can hopefully get some ratings. I'm not here to do that. But again, what they are doing is talking about Russell Wilson leaving. I don't believe so. But to the point of the game, it was a bad game. Geno Smith, what do you expect? Guy's been sitting on the bench, right? He's still getting his foot planted in regards to that offense, because, again, he doesn't play with the starters. They don't really, plug him in practice. So he's kind of doing it on the fly. He's doing the best he can. He's sporadic. He looks good at moments. He has his moments. There's a lot of things that are messed up with that Seattle team. That, offensive line's not good. That running back room's not very good. That receiving room, is good when Russell Wilson's in, because he makes them look good. But otherwise, they're obviously not good on their own. So I'm just looking at it like shaking my head like, wow, they're a mess. They are a mess. Then on the other side, you got the New Orleans Saints. Jameis Winston. Again, I often said, why did they pick up on him? He went 30 for 30, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions in the previous season. He's always had a problem with interceptions. Granted, now it looks like this year he might have cleaned up the interceptions a little bit. But look you're going up against one of the worst defenses in the NFL in the Seattle Seahawks, and you couldn't put points on the board, and you couldn't move the ball, and you say, Jameis Winston, that you are one of the top tier quarterbacks in the NFL. You have a lot of confidence in yourself. And when you play, you look like one of the bottom tier quarterbacks in the NFL, and you look more like a backup than you do a starter. That was a very, very hard game to watch. I couldn't watch it. It was two miserable teams playing football. Just bad. Again, Saints couldn't move the ball on one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and the Saints allegedly have a decent defense, and Geno kind of moved the ball on him. He didn't punch it in, but he was able to move the ball on him. So it was just a bad game. It was a bad game. I wasn't impressed by either team. They both need to go back to the drawing board. They've got a lot of work that they need to do in regards to both those teams. So I don't know. It's going to be a very, very long season for both these teams. They're both going to basically have to wait and hope the next season works out better and they can make some great offseason moves. Seattle, I thought, was going to be able to figure it out. Obviously, I was wrong. I got to put it out there that I was wrong. Seattle's not going to figure it out. They're going to be, in the bottom with San Francisco 49ers. That's just the bottom line truth. NFC West is no longer the most powerful division in the NFL. Fact, not fiction. They are not one of the most powerful. Tonight, Game 1 World Series, getting ready right now to check it out. Actually, Atlanta Braves, Houston Astros, all the national media guys saying that the Astros are going to take this series. I talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I said that I believe Houston probably will take it. Again, the consistency of scoring. They score, and they consistently score, even though their pitching staff is their Achilles heel. They consistently put runs on the board. Atlanta can be sporadic, but sporadic doesn't mean consistency. So I'm going to give the edge to Houston in regards to winning the World Series. But tonight, Game 1, I'm excited. It's going to start here in a few. So with that being said, I am going to cut out. That's going to do it for today. We will talk again tomorrow. You guys have a great time. Enjoy Game 1 of the World Series, and we will talk tomorrow.